Hey, everybody. Welcome to Screw the Stock Market. I'm Alex Escobar
I'm Aziz
and
Yusuf.
Aziz. Hey, this is the show where we talk about alternative investments outside of the stock market with the goal of attaining financial freedom and taking control of our finances and our futures in our lives. And today we have something a little bit different. We always talk a little bit about mindset as part of the show, but today's guest is primarily about mindset. Jacquelyn Rodriguez is a certified neuro coach, in addition to being an entrepreneur in a few other businesses. But, we brought her over to be able to talk a little bit about how take control of our mindset, because whether you're a passive investor or an entrepreneur or a real estate investor or whatever, you might have heard about one of these different asset classes on our show or somewhere else, and you said, hey, I want to do that, flipping land, I want to, whatever. Your mindset is where it all starts. Every action we take is where it starts. And so we were excited to have her on the show, and we learned a ton. What'd you think, Aziz?
I thought it was really good. I mean, it really honed in everything that we've been learning while we've been doing a lot of these interviews. As Alex started mentioning there, it's mindset really is key. I mean, when you first start hearing the term mindset, you start thinking like, oh, this is foo-foo stuff. That's not really, anything that's like substantial, but it really is. It really is. And I'll admit, I used to think the same thing. I was like, mindset, blah, 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 whatever. But it's such a pivotal component of doing anything at all. Because anytime we talk to people about any of the stuff we've learned, anytime, even us, when we first started considering a lot of this stuff, we were terrified. It was like, I don't know how to do this. There's so much risk. I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose that. I'm going to lose money. I don't know. But you just have to break out of that mindset. And the second you do, and you set that goal at the end of the day, and just start plowing through, working towards it step by step, it's so doable. And that's really what she's talking about, like breaking out of that conditioning that tells you can't do these things.
Yeah. I mean, there's some really great takeaways. I mean, for me, one of the big ones is that she rejects fake it till you make it. And she instead makes a recommendation towards the end of the interview, which I just had never really heard of as an alternative to fake it till you make it, right? Fake it till you make it. I'm just someone who I don't believe in bullshitting. I just can't do it. I'm the worst liar. I can't lie to myself. I can't lie to anyone else.
That's true.
And if I don't believe it, it's not going to happen.
You do.
But
You break
she
out in cold
replaced that.
sweats.
I'm terrible. Yeah. But what she said is something I can do, which I guess I'll just give it away. It's commitment. It's saying, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to never give up on this, and I'm going to find a way. And that is something I can see myself doing that on anything because of why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so I hope you guys get a lot of value from the show. We really appreciate your participation and your comments. And, we're really trying to get more active on social media. We're on Instagram and TikTok
and
YouTube.
YouTube. Please follow us. We also have a Facebook group as well.
Yeah. And so please feel free to engage with us. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. Let us know what you want us to cover on the show, because we really are trying. We know that there's people listening, and we want to really make it as valuable as possible for you. And we thank you for tuning in. So without further ado, please enjoy the show.
Real quick. Also, please check out our new ebook. It's free, and it's located on our website, screwthestockmarket.com. So please check it out. It's got all the helpful mindset tips that we've been learning over the last, couple of interviews this past year that we've been doing with all these industry experts. So check it out. It's free.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Good call. Enjoy the show. Hey there, thank you so much for tuning into the show. It means so much to me and Aziz that you are actually listening, that there's people really listening to the show. We're having fun with it, and we hope that you're getting a lot of value too. Education is just one of the first steps that anyone should take when they're on a journey towards financial freedom or personal development. And so it's great, you're doing the right things. I want to suggest a second step that you might want to consider if a lot of the things that we're talking about on the show are resonating with you. Consider visiting our website, legatoinvest.com/invest. And there's a button where you can click to gain access to our opportunities. And what will happen is you'll schedule a call with us. We'll talk, we'll get on a Zoom, and we'll get to know your investment experience. We'll get to know you. We'll learn about your objectives. And then if it's a good fit, we'll actually start to present you with real investment opportunities from time to time. And you'll be in the driver's seat where you can say, no, I don't like that one. And yes, I do like that one. And those real decisions, that means that you're actually in the game towards your financial freedom. So consider visiting legadoinvest.com/invest. Again, that's LEGADO invest.com/invest. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Screw the Stock Market. We're really excited to have you with us today. We have a really exciting guest, and I think you're going to get a lot of value from it. Again, this show is all about taking control of our finances and our futures, and learning and kind of taking all the tools that we can to be able to achieve the goals that we have in life. And today our guest is Jacquelyn Rodriguez, and she is a specialist in mindset. She's going to tell me, because I remember there was a word that I wasn't super familiar with when we met, but I said, hey, we got to have her on the show, because in particular, I mentioned to Jacquelyn is we just wrote an ebook, and we have it available on our website at screwthestockmarket.com. And you can download it, and it's essentially full of mindset tips that we've learned from our guests over the last several months, and books that they've recommended and books that we've read. And so it's very exciting for us to be able to share about mindset, but also continue to learn more about mindset. Jacquelyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, we're very excited.
So, at the beginning of our shows, we always just welcome people to share a little bit about their journey, right? Where did you start off in life, and how did you get to where you are? We find that a lot of folks, especially in biographies and stuff, people are just like, oh, I started $1 million business, and they just skip all the details. And so part of that journey is just key, right? Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, the journey. The journey is actually the part that we get to enjoy. And I learned a long time ago to enjoy the journey, not just try to get from A to Z. Where I started was I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I could sell anything when I was younger. I dreamed about having a business, got into cosmetology when I was in high school. So went to that, decided that I love people. I love transformation. I love that connection you really get with cosmetology and with each person. So I went forward through all of that and knew that I wanted to have my own business. And I started many, many years later, and in a really hard time in my life, actually. It was right after the last recession in 2008. I started to build up a little bit. We went through so much in that time, lost our home, lost a lot of stuff. And we went through a really hard time. And it took a lot for me to want to even dive into entrepreneurship because, as you know, it's not the easiest thing to do. And it takes a lot of trust in something that you cannot see, but you can feel it. And that's where I was. I was like, I felt it. I knew that this is something I got to do, but I couldn't see the results. I couldn't see how it was going to happen. And I took the big leap and trusted in myself. And I am so, so glad I did. I have hit many roadblocks during the time, but the way it has evolved and to where I am today, owning a salon, creating it in a very holistic, non toxic way, that has actually led me to coaching and taking my skills on a much bigger level. So the impact that I see myself really doing in this world is all because I trusted my instincts throughout the time, even when I couldn't understand it.
Amazing. Wow. So you lost your home. Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, I'll say that I'll use myself as an example, right? Like through this show, we've learned, and we had guests specifically talk about acquisition, of buying new businesses, buying existing
Mhm.
businesses as a way to increase your cash flow and grow your wealth in a very
Yeah.
accelerated way. And one of the things that's been a challenge is that I am not willing yet to put my house on the line, right? For any loan that I'm going to get to buy a business, I would have to, put a lien on it and say, okay, if for whatever reason this business fails, you can take my house. And
Yeah.
so tell us a little bit about that. That really resonates with me as
Mhm.
one of my biggest fears, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and I hear you, right? It was my biggest fear. My husband and I had a little toddler and a brand new baby, like literally I was about to give birth 3 months before the market crashed. My husband got laid off, and I was going on maternity leave. And we were living, your traditional, not white picket fence, but that American dream, like where we have good jobs, we've got kids, we own a home. We were young. I mean, we were really young. We've been together since high school. So I was like 24, 25, 26 maybe, somewhere around there. So we're young, we're doing it. And then all of a sudden, I mean, talk about brakes hitting and everything we knew got turned upside down. With my husband losing his job, and the market was terrible. So even like McDonald's, he applied for McDonald's, and 30 other people were applying for the same position. So many people were in the same boat, and we were not in over, like we didn't have an arm, we didn't have anything crazy like that. But when you can't find work and you've got babies and you go on maternity leave and you just have to make some hard decisions. So we chose, instead of continuing to go further and further and further into debt and stress, we chose to move and just foreclose the house. Hardest thing I've ever done. And the silver lining, because this is not what I knew then. I was super depressed. I was in a very bad state at that point in my life. But as I grew and I knew that I wanted to be something better for my kids, I decided that I had to like work through this. That's when I found meditation. That's when I found like really starting to center myself and letting go of the things that didn't serve me. But in that time, it was it was hard, and you didn't really know what to do, and you felt lost. But when we have those silver linings, a few years later, I saw that where we had the house, if I had stayed there, I would have never been able to build the type of business that I have here and the type of business I'm continuing to build, because that was not the place for me. It would not have grown. It just would not have been the same environment. So looking back, I can see, hey, this actually happened for me, because I would have never left a comfy job, a comfy home, even if I wasn't super happy. I didn't even know that I wasn't as happy as I could be. So that's a really, really important thing that is so hard to see when you're going through it. And I promise, everything, everything has a reason. You may not find out for a few years, but it will be that reason that you look back and you're like, oh, I'm so happy that actually happened to me, for me.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's important for all of us to hear. We all go through difficult times and challenges, and it's true. Like we're in the moment. We're on ground level, and we can't see the big picture. And so that's really encouraging. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. And that was one of the reasons, like, fast forwarding many years, the word you were looking for is neuro coach. So I'm a
Oh,
certified
thank you.
neuro
Yes.
coach, uh, which is neuro coach is basically I can figure out, we get to the bottom of the subconscious thoughts that you have, subconscious beliefs that are actually holding you prisoner. They come up automatically. You didn't give them permission to be there. And yet when things come up like that, if you haven't worked through your subconscious thoughts, you're blocking yourself. So I have a proven technique to take those subconscious thoughts and those beliefs and start severing the ones that are not serving you and replacing them with beliefs that will actually get you to where you want to be. And that was one of the key factors, including meditation and energy work, um, to really get me today where I am, where things like that happen, right? I have hiccups, I have things that don't go well. And I'm human, so I still have the same emotions. I still feel a certain way or think a certain thing, but with these techniques, I'm able to, one, recognize the thought much quicker. So instead of being upset about something for a week, a month, a year, 2 years, we all know people like that. And that's where I was. I went through that hard time. There was years of me not being able to get out of that. So now I have that technique to be able to come out much, much quicker. And now it's like, maybe a few minutes, maybe a day, like depends on how severe the problem is, but I can recognize it and shift the way I'm looking at it and shift the way I feel and think that allows me to see other possibilities that are opening up that otherwise I would not be able to see.
Can you give us an example of how you incorporate that into like the way you started your business, especially coming from such a hard situation at the beginning?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is, I mean, anytime you start a business, you're scared. I mean, that's huge. Like you were saying, Alex, like to take something that we've not been taught that is okay, right? So that's one way of thinking, and to put that on the line, you have to take risk. And you can't see what you're actually building. You don't have any proven. I wasn't building a business that was already built for me. This was from scratch with no capital, no nothing. It was just me knowing in my every fiber of my being that this is where I got to be and this is what I got to do. So taking that, I was scared, but I trusted in my intuition. And then I was able to start shifting, like instead of being scared over everything and taking a really long time to make decisions, I would be able to look at that and say, okay, what am I feeling? What is really scary about this? Like what am I actually scared of? And break that belief down. Is it something that I was indoctrinated with that may not even be true? Like there's so many things that we constantly look outside of ourselves for. And if we can start recognizing those, then we can start making decisions for us that may go against the grain and work out beautifully for us. And that's how really I started my own.
That's beautiful, and it really resonates with us because, as Alex mentioned earlier, we do have an ebook where we talk about the mindset in terms of being able to take risks and be able to kind of come up with these new business ventures and new investment options. You know, things that normally you would not think about and you would consider terrifying and scary, but it all just begins in your head. Just shifting away from that thought process and focusing on what your end goal is going to be, and that's exactly what you're doing, and it's a magical thing. It sounds simple, but it's not. Like most people get so hung up on this.
Well, and the reason we get hung up on it is because we have these belief systems that are so deep. They run incredibly deep. So, all of our beliefs, not all of them, I should say, but a majority of our beliefs are actually put into our subconscious between the ages of 0 to 8. The way we believe, the things that shape us all happen around that time. So, it goes from there and then just continues to grow. And when you, especially with beliefs that scare you, that have been really drilled in, let's say I mean, an easy one for people to, understand is money doesn't grow on trees, right? Parents may have said it over and over again. They didn't mean any harm by it, right? It's not like we're talking about beliefs that, was caused by trauma. It's just normal things like money doesn't grow on trees. Well, when you grow up and you have that belief that is so deep, and then you're going out to take risk, what do you think happens? You
And the risk of loss.
immediately, yeah. Well, that's the whole thing is you may not be risking loss. Like you may be going into something that's going to take you to a whole new level. But because you have that belief, you can't get past it to be able to take the risk. So many people will just shy away and say, "Nope, this is not a risk that I'm willing to take." But if you shift the belief into money doesn't grow into trees, money's energy. It's free flowing. It can come and go. And when you believe in what you're doing, all of a sudden that starts to take place and you actually attract all of the positive things, more money, more things working out because you cleared the way to be able to see those opportunities were always there. It's not like it's magic that all of a sudden these things come up, but when we have a belief that runs so deep, we actually close our ability to see opportunities because we immediately shut them out as not for us. We aren't supposed to do this because we were taught not to do these things.
It's interesting because it brings to mind an interview that we did not too long ago, where we had a guest who came from an immigrant family, and he was telling us how his parents kind of bred this kind of super hyper competitive. Don't trust anybody. You got to outdo everyone else. Don't you know? Don't try to work with anyone. It's you against the world kind of mentality, and that's how he attacked everything and how he viewed success. And then, once he started trying to create his own, real estate investment empire, he realized, I can't do this by myself. And the second he said that to himself and started collaborating and networking with people and whatnot, he found his net worth all of a sudden exploded into the millions. And I think he ended up with like a $1.2 billion portfolio in a matter of few years, just because he gave up those old mindset beliefs that he grew up with of working with other people is bad. You can't trust them to wait. I need to collaborate with folks. I need to network. I need to build things with other people to become successful. So mindset really, really is a huge impact.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. It shapes everything. Everything we do, everything we are, it shapes everything.
Maybe we should spend a little bit more time there before even going into more detail about, specific techniques and things is, I mean, maybe not, maybe it's almost obvious, but I want to spend a little bit of time just kind of stating the obvious, like you just said, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you could spell it out for us. Like, how do you think the connection is between mindset and achieving our goals and having that life that we all dream of? Like, how would you spell that out in a simple way for someone who thinks maybe this is all hokey pokey kind of stuff? Because some people might think
Yeah.
it's a little wishy washy, right?
Well, a lot of people do think it is wishy-washy, and they think that it's especially when we get in the realms of like talking about manifesting or attraction and those types of things. But everything goes back to who are you? So your energy, because everything, it's scientifically proven that every single thing has energy. So your energy, you can feel it. Others can feel it. I'm sure you have been in a room where I always use the analogy like when you walk into a room and a fight just like ended. You weren't there, you didn't see anything, but you walk in and people use the term like you can cut the tension with a knife. That's not tension, that's energy. You can feel it. Things shift. So when we are energetic beings, and we have belief systems. Like if you look at your brain in a scan, you have those subconscious beliefs that I was telling you about earlier. Is there's subconscious beliefs and then there's your conscious. And all of those subconscious beliefs are wired to actually protect you. It's energy efficient if you think about it. Our brains do amazing things. It's all energy efficient because if you take a thought and an emotion that you put together and you put that on repeat, your brain automatically says, hey, this is something that is now a belief, right? We believe this to be true through and through and through, no matter what it is. And your brain tries to save you energy and puts it on automatic. So anytime you're feeling some sort of way, you're having the same type of thoughts, it's like, okay, immediately, here's your belief system. This is what we believe. You don't have to put in extra energy. This is just what it is. And that flows into our energy. So if we are attracting, and if we are actually putting up blocks around things and around our energy because of our beliefs, we're deterring things happening to us. I don't know how simple this is getting. I'm getting a little complicated, but
No, it's okay.
but simply it is that your brain puts these beliefs on autopilot for you, and it is for you, right? And then we get to determine later, once we can recognize some of these things, like we got to go deep. We got to see what are those subconscious beliefs. But once we can determine whether those beliefs are serving us anymore or not, just like your friend or the other person on the podcast, like they had a belief system that served them to a point, got him to where he needed to be at that point. And then all of a sudden, that belief system doesn't serve you anymore. You have two options. You can stay with the belief system and say, nope, this is what I believe. I stay strong. End of story. Then you wouldn't have gotten those collaborations. You wouldn't have gone further. You wouldn't have taken that chance. You wouldn't have taken that risk. Or you can say, okay, is this actually serving me anymore? And if it's not, the beautiful thing about the brain also is that we can change the belief. It's not as simple as, just going in and believing it one day. You really do have to sever the old belief system. And if you're like me, like I've had some belief systems running through, like I'm 40, I'm almost 41. So they've been there for a while and it's not going to happen overnight. But I know that it can happen. And I have a system of being able to make it happen. So the first part of that, though, is making a decision. If this belief system is going to serve you or if it's not, and if it's time to just find a new one. And I really think that it's important to add to this that there's no shame, there's no blame in any of this. I mean, I have some belief systems that I have worked on that still, they're like layered. There's multiple layers to this one belief system. There's no shame in it. Like I've been this way for so long. I just keep recognizing and seeing, oh, here's another one. Okay, it's time to rewire this one. And it's having fun with it more than putting that blame or that shame on us that, shouldn't we have known this? Or why did this happen? It happened for us, and we have the capacity to be able to start changing things, which is amazing to me.
And I think that's something that most people just have a hard time grasping, is that we do have a strong capacity to change. Sometimes people, I think, get overwhelmed because they think they have to do it all at once and all suddenly. You can do it gradually, step by step. Do things that are outside your comfort zone, little by little, and then work your way up to the big things. Eventually, if you have a fundamental goal that you really want to accomplish at the end of the day, that helps more than anything else, because you have something to gauge how successful you're becoming and what you're working towards. So I think that's the biggest thing most people need to focus on.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't do this overnight. Like I said, I mean, that all happened, like the trauma and everything happened in 2008. We're here into 2020 now, almost 2023. I'm still working through things. I took everything one step at a time. Me personally, I end up like I work a little bit faster. That's just my personality. I mean, no matter what I'm doing, I tend to like move a bit faster. That does not mean anything for anyone else. I have plenty of my students who don't move as fast as I do. And it's taking the one thing that is the most important to them and just working on that. And again, it's all listening to your intuition. Like if we really stop and center and listen to what our bodies are telling us and our minds are telling us, what step you should take next. It's just trusting that and then just taking small, tiny action steps and staying committed.
So tell us a little bit about some of the specific techniques or tools, as much as you're willing to. I know we're relatively short on time. I'm sure you can probably, go all week on this stuff. But
Good.
but I'm very interested because the specifics, right? We are all creatures of habit, right? And
Mhm.
if I've thought about this thing in this way, chances are tomorrow I'm going to continue thinking about it that way. I'll give my wife a ton of credit. She is amazing. She's made amazing drastic changes in her way of thinking and her personality and things like that. And it's amazing. And I think I haven't made I've grown, but you know what I'm saying? Like some of those things are just very hard to change.
Yeah.
So how do you go about it? Like, just what are some of the specific things that someone out there can do if they're listening to this right now and they say, I wish I was more of a risk taker, or I wish I could get over analysis paralysis, right? To bring it back towards investing.
Yeah.
What do we do?
So the first thing you want to do is one, it's awareness. Like if we just go through life not even recognizing that we're standing in our own way or this thought is actually stopping us, then why change? Why are we going to do anything? So just being aware, what is your mind actually telling you? What is that subconscious coming in? Like when you have analysis paralysis and you don't know which way to go, what is that voice saying in your head? Because if you actually take note and you write down, hey, this, I'm too scared because I'm afraid I'm going to lose it all. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my house. If you write that down, you're going to notice a pattern. You're going to see what is actually underneath. It's not just losing the house that you're worried about. It's not just losing the money or afraid of. If you start looking deeper at all of the thoughts, it all comes back to a few core thoughts, which do you feel safe? Do you have self-worth? And do you feel loved? Those are the three things humans want the most. If you don't have enough money, typically it's coming back to you don't feel safe. You can't find the relationship that you want. It comes back to self-worth. Do you believe that you deserve the relationship you want? Do you believe you deserve the job that you want? So the first thing is always just recognizing it, looking at the thoughts that are coming up and looking for patterns. And then the next part, so that's called clarity. That's the first step, is clarity. The second step is, or clarify, erase is the next step, which is taking those thoughts that are no longer serving you and placing new thoughts in. Now, I have a system of like how to break that down, how to implement it, how to like say rewrite your story basically so that it is serving you. And then the last step is automation. If we already have belief systems that are not serving us, then we get to erase those and automate the new ones. And something you said, Aziz, earlier is having a goal. You know, when we travel, you usually have a destination, a very specific destination. So the clearer you can get on your destination, what goal it is that you want to set, not only what it is, but why. Why do you want that? Why do you want to invest in the stock market? Why do you want to open a new business? Why do you want to make $1 million a year? Typically, we're not thinking like, oh, I just want to make $1 million. Making $1 million gives me freedom. I can spend more time with my kids. Making $1 million allows me to travel the world. That's what that does. So I get really clear on what it is that I want and why. What change will that actually make in my life? And then when I have those weak moments and I'm going, oh, I don't know if I can do this, it's just easier to stay on my old belief system. All of a sudden, I'm like, hey, what about those trips? What about taking my kids back to my dad's country in Uruguay and being able to show them the culture there? That $1 million is looking better and better and better. And I'm willing to get a little uncomfortable to be able to make that happen because that dream is bigger than staying in my box. That was the quick version.
That's helpful. That's helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, the last part, that automation, I mean, that reminds me of something I've done for a little bit, and I read it in the book, The Miracle Morning, where
Yeah.
he talks about affirmations, right? And kind of,
Yeah.
no, not affirmations, the visualizations, where he talks
Mhm.
about visualizing yourself having the things that you want and actually experiencing that success and how good it's going to feel. And
Yeah.
I always thought it was more of just a motivation thing, which is like, okay, I'll get up and keep trying. It is,
Mhm.
but here it seems like if you connect that why and that feeling of success with the new belief that you're replacing it with, it's gonna
Yeah.
reinforce itself. I can see how
Yeah.
that could
And
kind of grow like
my
a snowball.
method, my method is not so like I'm classically trained with neuro coaching, and there's one way of doing that. But I also very much believe in energy and frequency and visualization. So I actually combine those methods where we're doing very specific to you. So they're not affirmations that may or may not work. This is what your brain is telling you, and now we get to replace that. So this is very personalized for each individual. And we take that, we visualize, we put it with binaural beats that open up the energies around you. We also do frequency work with it so that we are aligning that new belief system with your entire being. So it's like this beautiful mesh of all of these modalities that for me is actually a faster track. That's what really helped me be on that fast track because I wasn't just ready to take, you know, one thing at a time. I was able to like bring these together, and it's like a very magical thing to be able to have those pieces.
That's funny. That reminds me of some of the stuff that we've talked about with. I'm sorry, Aziz. I know you're about to, but just it reminds me of
That's
some of
okay. Go
the
ahead.
things I've heard from other guests. Maybe in a more tactical way, right? People who hire a coach to become a better real estate investor, and they accelerate their growth, and they accomplish in the next 6 months what they couldn't accomplish in the last 6 years because of the targeted, customized guidance that they're getting from someone who's been there before and who's trained in it. Um,
For
that's
sure.
amazing. Yeah. Aziz, I'm
Oh,
sorry. Please.
No, it's okay. It just the talk about like the visualizations and the belief. It just made me remember something. I remember there was a guy I used to know like years and years ago. I've told you about him, Alex, where he was he believed in himself so much to the point where it was just like you just see him and it's like this guy is so arrogant. I mean, he thought he was like P Diddy before even Diddy even blew up that much, but he just believed it to his soul and he acted like it. He was going to be somebody, he was somebody, and he was going to go someplace. And shortly, I mean, after we graduated grad school, next thing I know, I mean, I'm seeing his face on magazines. He's actually started multiple like multi-million-dollar companies. He's like, rubbing elbows with like Jay-Z and all these other celebrities. And it was all based on this kind of belief structure that he created just from early on, out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, he just saw the visions from early on before he even accomplished anything. I mean, he was just a student, but he just knew he was going to be somebody.
See, and look at how amazing belief systems are, right? And I want to hit home this. Like, if you're listening and you're like, well, I didn't have that when I was a kid. So now there's no hope for me. Haha, there is. There's so much because it does not matter where you're at in your life. It doesn't matter your age, where you came from, what belief systems your family gave you, your brother, father, mother, I don't care. All of that is a decision. That your friend did not have to believe in himself that way. He didn't have to. I mean, why would he, right? It was something he believed so deeply to the core that was possible. And so it's like that target it, right? Look at what it is that you want and let yourself take those steps to start believing it. And you do not have to believe it right away. And I don't like using the fake it till you make it because I don't feel like that actually works. You've got to be committed. That's what will make it happen. Commitment. Commitment to something that you cannot see, but you believe in, you want so badly. And once you take committed action, and then you take another committed action, and then you take another committed action, trust me, you'll start believing, right? You will start believing in yourself. Because when you stop yourself and you don't take that committed action, then you're just proving yourself right. Like, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. This is for somebody else. Like, other people can be successful and, go make millions of dollars, but not me. Take one committed action. And I'm sure that your friend felt the fear, just was committed enough to continue
I don't know if
to
he felt the fear. I really don't. He just was so sure of himself from day one. I mean, 110 to the. I mean, when I say that he embodied arrogance, he really did. But I mean, he's a nice guy. Don't get me wrong, completely nice guy. But he just felt it to his soul that he was somebody, and he was going to make it right off the bat. And he didn't care if you did not know it. He knew it.
And that's fantastic. And I am sure that if you really sit down with him, when he started making those big moves and he had to take those risks, ask any celebrity, any person, like, they felt fear. It wasn't comfortable to go and put their house up, on the market, or to go and get into these big rooms. It's not always super comfortable, but when you are so committed and so believing in yourself, then it's easier to feel the fear and just do it anyway. I honestly feel fear every single day, and I just do it anyway.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I know he said that he was 6 figures in credit card debt at one point getting his business off the ground. And, he went all in. I mean, it was like do or die. There was no in between, and it worked. I mean, it really worked.
Yeah.
And one part that actually cracked me up a lot too. I saw him in an interview one time, one of these CNBC or one of these business channels, and they were asking him about his business. It's like a tech startup. And they're like, "How did you come up with this?" Because he's a business guy. He has no engineering background or anything, and just without even blinking, he's like, "I invented it." It's like, I mean, he completely, truly believes it. He is not an engineer. He's just an MBA, but he's like, "I invented this new technology."
Hey, I would love to have, a little bit more of that confidence. I think we all would.
That's funny. I always say that when I talk about my Chihuahua, right? She weighs like 6 pounds and she'll attack. She actually attacked not a reindeer, a deer in my dad's backyard and came out of it not so great, right? She got kicked and it was bad. But the point is, she went full force. She went hard on that deer. And
Yeah.
she's okay now. But
Thank goodness.
I always say I wish I had half of her confidence because I'd take over the world if I did. But I think for me, one of the things that really resonates is what you said is commitment, right? Like that is something I can say, even if I'm not 100% confident in whatever it is I'm doing at any given time, I can more confidently say, I'm committed to it, right? I can say, I'm going to make this work. This is happening one way or the other, and I'm not going to give up.
Yep.
And, I think for me, that's a little bit more relatable than this character Aziz is talking about, where it's just not my personality to come across, in such a way. But commitment is something that isn't about arrogance. It's not all about me. It's about a mission. It's about why. Going back to what you were talking about. So that's a huge,
Yeah.
huge takeaway for me.
And that's how I built the business that I have. Because I will tell you, I was scared out of my mind. I still am making decisions that I'm like, "Ooh, I don't know if this is like, what if I mess this up? What if I make the wrong decision?" And I've made a lot of wrong decisions. Every single one of those decisions, I learned something huge. Not just like I learned a lesson and keep moving. No, I learned something huge that helped me push forward. And because I'm so incredibly committed to creating this beauty industry better watch out. Like, I am coming for it. We get to have cleaner, healthier, non-toxic, sustainable ways of doing business in this industry. I believe it to my core. I'm scared every single day I get on a podcast or I, stand for what I believe in because it's not popular belief systems. It's not the popular thing to do, but I believe it to my core and I stay committed even when I'm like, maybe I'll just go back to working for somebody else. And then I remember, no way. No, I don't think I could ever work for anyone else again.
Very cool. Well, Jacquelyn, do you have any last stories or lessons that you'd like to share with our audience before we end our interview today?
I've said so much.
You have.
I really think like just take that one step. Whatever it is, right? If you're ready to start a business, just make a plan. Don't wait for tomorrow. Success, business, money, everything loves speed. Be confident in the decisions you're making, even if they are not going, like if they don't work out, it's okay. Means nothing about you. Means you learned a lesson, you move on. It is okay. Take the committed action now. Don't wait. This world that we're in, especially now, you cannot wait. They need you. Whoever it is that you're going to work with, whoever is out there waiting for you to be the one to help them, to be the one to show them, guide them, they're waiting on you. So you can't wait longer. I think that's my final thing.
That's huge. That's huge. I love that. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure someone in our audience is going to hear that and take that next step. So thank you. Can you share how our audience could reach you if they wanted to learn more about neuro coaching or your beauty business?
Yes. You can find me on all the social platforms. Instagram, Facebook is all the Clean Beauty Biz Coach. And my name's Jacquelyn Rodriguez. I think you can search by that too. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You got to be there. And then my website is just cleanbeautybiz.com.
Jacquelyn, thank you so much. It's been great having you on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was so much fun.
It was very, very enlightening. We appreciated you.
Thank you.